Welcome back to Press Review in Depth. As the crisis in Syria continues, let's have a look at what the media is saying. An article in the Deutsche Welle looks into the situation in northeast Syria, where about 200 women and girls of the People's Defense Unit, the YPG, in Kurdish Syria joined the Kurdish militia near Qamishli, the unofficial capital of the northern Rojava region of Syria, which is mainly settled by Kurds. The article mentions a young woman with a weapon in hand. She is clad in a typical Palestinian scarf and a protective vest. She fought against the Al-Qaeda-linked al-Nusra Front in the Iraqi border. YPG fighters said last winter the YPG militia drove the Islamists out and managed to chase out Bashar al-Assad's troop a year before that. The YPG was unofficially founded in 2012 in an attempt to keep Syria's civil war from spreading into the region. The group is regarded as the military wing of the Kurdish Democratic Union Party, the PYD. The writer states some facts related to the Kurds in the Middle East. First, the entire region is isolated from the outside because the Syrian Kurds' attempts at self-rule aren't welcomed by all their neighbors. Ankara fears a Kurdish uprising in Turkey should the Syrian Kurds model succeed. The Kurds in Iraq are split. Some carry on a brisk oil trade with Turkey and would rather not threaten the good relations with Ankara. And on the other hand, the Iraqi government entertains sympathies for Syria's Kurds, but remains guarded as long as it's not clear who is to rule in Damascus in the future. And as a result of the aforementioned facts, the article observes Syria's Kurds are on their own, but that has led to an outright surge in mobilization, in the course of which Roj and Warsin decided to join the YPG. A few months ago, Syrian Kurds proclaimed Rojava to be autonomous. In an interview with Deutsche Welle, one of the fighters said, "We are here because our native country is under attack and we want to defend it. No one forced us, we're volunteers. My parents are proud of me. They support and motivate me and feel I'm doing the right thing." The fighter adds, should she be killed in a battle, her family would say she died for peace and democracy. Another female fighter interviewed says, now and for the first time, Syrian Kurds, above all the women, have the opportunity to shape their own lives. She said, women make up for 35% of the 45,000 fighters. Women used to be suppressed and exploited in our society and regarded as inferior by the men. Now we have the chance to be the role model for Kurds and for other ethnicities, for instance for Arab women. And under the subtitle, Women Will Decide the Future, the Deutsche Welle observes, the Kurdish party, the PYD, has also introduced a women's quota of 40%. The party's executive is half women. Co-chairwoman to Asya Abdullah says she's convinced that women have become the benchmark. In some sectors, women have become so dominant that now men are demanding a quota. Not every man is happy about that. The German paper concludes by their finding that a Kurdish woman's great model is the rebel leader Abdullah Öcalan, imprisoned in a Turkish jail since 1999. He spent 20 years of his life in exile in Syria, repeatedly demanded the liberation of women. In their fight for autonomy, the Kurds may turn out to be the winners of the Syrian conflicts as long as they aren't pulverized amid the conflicting interests of Syria's neighbors. And joining us today is member of the Puritan People Council in London, Juan Efrin. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
My first question, Mr. Efrin, the article in the Deutsche Welle newspaper looks at the phenomenon of women training to fight for an autonomous Kurdish region in the northeast of Syria. What can you say about this phenomenon of women joining the forces to fight in general?
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Kurdish women is not new, basically, participating in the Kurdish struggle for freedom. This struggle started 25-30 years ago, and it's carried on, but it has presented itself in a more formal ways in the beginning of this revolution in Syria. And basically believing in the values of equality and democracy, we think the women is the half of the society, and to achieve that, you have to enable that half of that society to participate on all, or to give them an opportunity to express their belief and work. So that has led basically many Kurdish women to participate in various organizations in Kurdish society in West Kurdistan. And as the fight and spread across whole Syria, Kurdish women felt that it's their duty as well to participate in the fight and to get military training to protect their families and people from these Salafis and jihadist attacks.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think it is a big matter for Syrian Kurdish women, particularly, to have an autonomous region apart from protecting themselves from attack? They want an autonomous region. You know, why is it important for these women?
Well, Kurdish people has been oppressed in the last 50 years.
Oppressed by whom?
By the Syrian regime and by Ba'ath regime.
But you just said they are protecting themselves from the Salafis, so who is oppressing them now? You said the Salafis are offending them and they were trying to protect themselves from the Salafis, and now you say they need to be autonomous from the regime.
The Kurdistan, basically, geographically and historically, you know that it was 4 parts. And when we think about this, we're thinking as, you know, the Kurdish people in Syria, we're looking into kind of autonomous democracy for the people, and specifically for women. Now, Syrian civil war has escalated, and everybody is fighting kind of everybody. Women basically felt that in order to achieve their equal right, they felt that this autonomous democracy will represent their rights as participating in various organizations in the society. Mm-hmm. So that's becoming kind of a very vital motivation. Mm-hmm. And thinking that basically the Kurdish political organization like PYD and West Kurdistan People Council and various organizations opened that opportunity for the Kurdish women to express themselves in practical terms.
Mm-hmm. And also the German newspaper interviewed one of the fighters in the Kurdish party, the PYD. The fighter said women used to be suppressed and exploited in our society and regarded as inferior by the men. And now we have the chance to be the role model for Kurds and for other ethnicities, for instance, Arab women, and unquote. Do you think Arab women could get more involved in similar causes relating to their identity and freedom? And can the Kurdish women phenomenon be seen as the opposite to women involved in sexual jihad, the women amongst Islamic factions which are part of the opposition in Syria?
Yeah, I think this women's struggle, it is quite very, very important and vital in the in Middle East whole, actually. But we specifically, when the Kurdish women took this role, I think it is very, very important. Now, Kurdish women basically express their equality in terms of participating in the various organizations and playing their role. Coming from a society like a Middle East society, you know, mainly the religion has been practiced, and it's kind of feudalism still has kind of lots of this backward mentality affect the women in a very negative way. Which led the women to be isolated from participating in the life and the society. Somehow they isolated them and kept them in a and we say it only in the kitchen, or maybe, you know, giving birth to children. That basically looking into the future of Middle East and, you know, the world. I think it is very, very important that the woman now to play that important role and to modernize that society. We believe in a democracy. What type of democracy or equality we believe when you oppress half of the society? Women, truly, they've been suppressed by, you know, by various ideologies in the past, kind of feudalism, Islamic mentalities, and all that, and which is basically oppressed them. Now, the women, when they've given that opportunity. Somehow they enlightened themselves. Now they express themselves in equal term as the man in the Kurdish society, and which we believe now this is very important. When it comes to the Arab women or in Syria, that is also very, very important that the women, they should play that role and participating equally with the man, and that would be kind of the democratic future for. When you look into terms of women, basically, you know, sexually being manipulated in terms of jihadists and this, that is quite basically sickening, you know, to putting women in such a position.
Mm-hmm.
So we believing to opening or giving the opportunity for women in the Middle East, that will be by itself, it will be a massive revolution and changing the Middle East and Kurdistan and Turkey or Syria as the future.
Sure. Mr. Efrin, if you were to choose between an Islamic rule in Syria under the opposition, which is you know, associated in many of its factions with Al-Qaeda, and obviously this is not compatible at all with women's rights, and if you had to choose between the Ba'athi and the Assad's regime and the opposition, which would you choose as a Kurdish member?
Well, I mean, I lived in Syria and I've seen the thing basically. Well, now with Islamic groups and you know, affiliated with Al-Qaeda, they're trying to the society back 1,500 years backward, and they kind of into the Middle Ages, and you know, enslaving the women in a very horrible way. Looking into this Syrian regime in the last 30, 40 years, somehow the women, they were more liberated. They were given some opportunities. There was women organization in Syria. Of course, there was not basically, you know, still women didn't enjoy all this right kind of equally as a man as now.
Sure. So we can say
Kurdish women.
Yes. So
but,
we can say that
of course the women had more right in the Ba'ath regime. In the current under the Islamist opposition and opposition groups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you do acknowledge that under President Assad, Bashar al-Assad, there were some reforms to liberate women to a certain extent. So there were some improvements.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Juan Efrin, member of the London Puritan political analyst based in London. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And for more updates, please visit levant.tv. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.